Mark the lock spindle height and square this around the side of your door. Place the thumb lock body onto the door, keeping the faceplate just behind the leading edge of the door. Pencil inside the spindle hole. Mark the top and bottom of lock body. Place the mortise jig onto the door with a 19mm router bit. The clamp handles of the jig go on the right hand side. I spin the router blade to check the longest blade overlaps the bottom measurement by 3mm. I then do the same overlap on the top pencil mark for the lock body. I'm not routing the faceplate at this stage, just the body. Now set the drilling depth by putting the lock body and faceplate in the jig and setting the depth stop on the back. Ensure the blade is touching the door when you set the depth. Fix this position by tightening the grub screw on the depth stop. Wear a dust mask, safety glasses and ear defence. Attach your drill to the bar and begin drilling out the door material. Take the jig off and use a hoover to remove dust from the mortised hole. Place the lock body with faceplate into the hole and pencil the top and bottom of faceplate. You want to use a slightly smaller router bit than the faceplate. Place the jig back onto the door. I'm using a 22mm router bit. Set the longest blade of the router bit 3mm inside the bottom and inside the top line. You'll tidy up this cut with chisels after. Now set the depth of the lock faceplate. Ensure the blade is touching the door when setting the depth. Attach the drill to the bar. Drill out the material and then remove the jig. Now to make a hole for where the thumb lock spindle will go. I'm using a 18mm bit to allow plenty of clearance so the spindle doesn't bind. Be sure to check that your thumb lock plate rows will cover the side of your drilled hole, that there will be enough timber between the spindle hole and your screws to fix securely into. You'll finish the cut with chisels. Now drill out 6mm holes to fit the lock bolts through. Draw these exactly above and below the spindle hole, in relation to the holes you have in your thumb lock rows. Tighten the bolts together. Fill the rest of the holes with screws and screw the rose caps on. If the bolts provided are too long for your thickness of door, you can grind these off a little bit using a grinder with a metal blade. Some brand of locks use stickers on their faceplates. This one in the top right hand corner has peeled, so we swap this out later on.